And hello and welcome to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1.
And hello and welcome.
And hello, and I'm Nathan, and this is Jake, and that's Brendyn, and that's Alex. And you know the drill. It's the Monday, Wednesday crew. All of us here. Been a while since we've all been in the same room doing the drive.
We didn't do it last week, did we?
Well, because last week I was at the Illinois game on Monday. That was right after this, so I couldn't make this. And then on a Wednesday, I was shooting something for a hockey story that I was doing for my class.
Oh, yeah, so we had Alex host.
Yeah,
right?
that was fun.
Yeah?
That was fun. Loved it.
Alex has a nice voice.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't. We don't get to hear it a lot, being the producer and whatnot. But you still contribute and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful day today. Yeah. I'm gonna open with this every single time.
Some weather talk.
I'm sorry, but I'm one of those guys that gets really into the depressing mode when it's like wintertime and like it's just constantly cold and especially since I remember last winter it didn't get warm until like April.
True.
And right now it's mid 40s and it's still a little windy and whatnot, but I'll take it, man.
I love it because through February, you get those days, especially living in the Midwest, where it's warm and then the next day it'll snow.
Yeah.
But, looking at the forecast for the next 10 days, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be like this for the next 10 days. So you can only imagine that it's going to stay like this for the rest of the spring. But
yeah, I remember last week, because last week was when I started getting real mad, where it was all right, when is it going to warm up? When am I going to be able to wear, a long sleeve and pants and then, work my way into shorts weather? And we're not quite there yet. I got shorts on right now, and as I've been running all over the place. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful weather. You know what comes along with beautiful weather?
What?
Baseball season.
Yeah, boy.
Love it. Love it.
And baseball season is finally back here in Champaign. Illinois baseball with a win over Chicago State last night, 11-8 at Illinois Field. They're away for a while, and they don't have their next home game until March 20th. But it was nice to see Illinois at Illinois Field, getting back into it in front of some home fans. But we're not gonna talk so much about the Illinois baseball team in that Chicago State game. One, we're gonna sort of address how the team's doing as a whole right now. But the big, results that Illinois has gotten recently came in the Frisco Classic in Frisco, Texas, over the weekend. They took care of business, beating number 13 Texas A&M and number 23 Oklahoma State. Their only loss coming to the number one team in the country in UCLA. Really, really great weekend for Illinois baseball. I don't know, how much you guys have been, able to, it's hard watching baseball games. There's not always good streams to find and whatnot. So it's hard to sort of see this team in action other than some of the stuff that they've been putting out. But, how good does this Illinois baseball team do we think this could actually be? Because they lost a lot of guys to the draft, but they've got a really strong recruiting class that are now sophomores, and you see some of that in how their lineup is presented. The pitching's been going really well. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts and your guys' takes on how good this Illinois baseball team is actually.
I think they're pretty good because for all the guys that they lost, they also kept guys like Ty Weber, who's been awesome. They kept guys like Brandon Comia, who has been incredible this year. So that definitely helps. And then they got some transfers as well. And this past weekend, talking about beating 2 top 25 opponents, this is hysterical right now.
I didn't get a chance to eat dinner, so I'm eating a cheeseburger mid-show, because otherwise my stomach would be audible.
Crushing. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, they've been great. And so you beat 2 top 25 teams. Wasn't really expected, I would say, because we're still feeling out how this team is. But they played well. And then, of course, you play against number 1 UCLA. We saw that coming. But 2 out of 3 is not bad at all. And I think this team could do pretty well as the season goes on.
Yeah, they played this weekend. They really played to their strengths. I mean, we know how good when their pitching and defense is on, it's so good. And they held the number 13 team to no runs, the number 23 team to 2 runs. And then we saw that pitching and defense kind of go the other way against UCLA, but that's the number 1 team, in the country. We still haven't seen, and that's kind of why yesterday was a good showing, because, we finally saw those bats come around. But over the past weekend, we didn't see them, driving a lot of runs. But at the same time, I don't think that's worrisome when your defense can hold these good teams to 0 and 2 runs.
Yeah, and I remember when Joe Madden was the manager of the Cubs, he always harped on, the offense will come if pitching and defense is what, and that's what he focused on pretty regularly. He said if you have those two things, you got to score runs to win games, but so does the other team. Right. And if you do everything in your power to make it as hard as possible for the other team to score runs, then you can get away with some of these low scoring games that Illinois has had. And I mean, yeah, they haven't dropped more than 5 runs in a game yet, and that sometimes would raise eyebrows, especially when Seton Hall you lost 2-10, and UCLA you lose 1-14, and they get over that threshold when they beat Chicago State 11-8 in on home turf yesterday, but. I don't know. Chicago State.
Yeah,
They're not on the par. They're not on the same level as a lot of these other teams you've played. And you brought up playing number 1 UCLA. You get there because that's the Frisco Classic title game. And you're gonna face whoever else is playing as good as they have been over the weekend. In your opinion, who on this Illinois baseball team, really drives the team? Who's like the X factor or the key to success, if you will?
I think it's easy to say Ty Weber, who's been awesome, but he only pitches every few days. So I got to go with Brendyn Comia. He's in the lineup every day. He's been awesome. You were worried about where the production was going to go because you lost Michael Massey to the draft. So now you have Comia come up, who last year as a freshman played really well, but this is just another level. Like, this is Big Ten Player of the Year type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think it's pretty apparent to say Brendyn Comia, but it's just hard because he's kind of the only one putting offense. So it's like, I don't know if he's driving it or is he just being himself, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I would have to just give the props to the whole pitching staff. And that defense just as a whole. But I mean, Brendyn Comia is playing out of his mind. And if everybody else can, do half of what he's doing, this team is going to be so dangerous.
Yeah, Comia, he's got a 429 batting average, slugging 800, on base percentage of 52, 524. I mean, that's phenomenal. He's also great in the field. 2 errors on the season, but that's going to happen when you're constantly getting hit the ball. 15 hits, 6 runs, 8 RBIs. I mean, yeah, he's really carrying the load right now for Illinois. Kellen Sarver also done a great job. He's got 8 RBIs on the season, and he's hitting 206, which you'd like to see go up a little bit more. But again, this Illinois hitting isn't where it needs to be, and that's coaching staff's aware of that, fans are aware of that. I believe Coach Hartlib when he says the hitting will come, because these are college level baseball players, hitters and fielders, and so that hitting will eventually get there. But I like Jake. I like the point that you're making. I mean, this pitching staff's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because you bring up Ty Weber. There's also guys like Jimmy Burnett and just all over the place.
Jimmy Burnett, who had the very tough task of making his first start against a ranked team. So that's pressure right there. But he's been awesome.
Where does this team rank in like the Big Ten? Like the Big Ten, Michigan's very good.
Indiana's very good.
There's teams, Illinois, as good as they've been and as much respect as Hartlib has among the other coaches in the Big Ten and probably in the nation. There's a lot of good teams in the Big Ten. Where do you think looking at it before it gets into Big Ten play and whatnot, where this team might end up in the standings?
It's so tough because the Big Ten is so good with baseball. But then again, we just saw Illinois beat 2 top 25 teams and one who was in the early teens. Who I think
Texas A&M number 13.
13.
So this team could be pretty good. They could be up there in that tier, obviously. So I don't think they're that top 15 team, but I think they can sneak in the rankings, which I think in the Big Ten you're probably looking at a top 4 or 5 finish then.
Yeah, they are receiving votes in the baseball's weird with it's like the the National Baseball Writers of America that do that's like the equivalent of like the AP. Like
some weird rankings.
Yeah,
Baseball America.
Yeah. It's all over the place. Brendyn, Alex, I'm kind of open discussion here. I mean, I think it's a Illinois team that has the potential to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten based on what we're seeing early.
I mean, we see, obviously, we can just keep talking about their defense and their pitching, but if they're able to develop that hitting, and like we talked about how new this team is with all the transfers and all the young guys, if they, get that, chemistry together and they're able to hit well consistently, like this team, obviously the sky's not the limit, but this team can be a really good baseball team, one of the better teams in the nation.
Yeah, frankly, just looking at how this season has started, I mean, granted, you've played teams like Wake Forest, like Coastal Carolina, Texas A&M, a lot of these ranked teams, and I think like everyone's pretty much said it at this point. Like I feel like once that hitting shows up, I think this team's just gonna be fine. I think, are they up there with like the Michigans and the Indianas? I don't know, because I'm not big on Big Ten baseball.
Yeah.
But I think
Baseball's tough because
Right.
it's hard to watch.
yeah,
It's hard
yeah.
to keep up with, like you said, with the rankings and whatnot.
Right.
It's hard to sort of figure out.
But I think just the way this team is starting off, I'm not too worried. Baseball is a really hard sport, just in general, and I think they should be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried.
I mean, we'll see. They've got a stretch coming up.
It's a
against
little too
Elon.
early to tell.
Yeah, they got a stretch, coming up against Elon and against Southern Illinois, and some teams that I think that they should be able to take care of. Not to say that these teams aren't great, but they've got some actual series now where they see a team for an extended period of time. Reminder that Illini Drive is brought to you by the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. Head on over to fightingillini.com. Buy tickets to go see this Illinois baseball team. Buy tickets to go see the Illinois softball team. There's plenty of good spring sports coming up. Baseball is what we're talking about right now because of the phenomenal weekend that they had and, how they've been playing recently. And because they had their first home game yesterday, and you could get tickets at fightingillini.com. Unify, develop, inspire, and achieve. Make sure to check them out. All right. Moving from baseball, let's talk about this basketball team. We talk about them on every show, which is and we usually lead with them, and they have earned that A block though.
Mm-hmm.
They have earned the talk that we talk. Big game coming up tomorrow night. Because yesterday went about as well as possible for Illinois. Almost, if Penn State pulls off that game against Michigan State, then Illinois really has a shot at being in the outright lead for the Big Ten title, or tied only with Maryland. But with this game, they could work their way into a three-way tie for first in the Big Ten with one game remaining. But it's no small task. Ohio State, number 19 team in the nation, playing their best basketball right now. Vibe check of the room. How confident are we feeling about this game? It's easy to say, look at this Illinois team and a 4-game win streak, but I want to know where everybody's at on our confidence level going into Ohio State.
It's tough because, it's tough to win on the road. Especially against a team that's been hot. Like, Ohio State wasn't this good a month and a half ago. So it's, you're obviously always shaky, especially when so much rides on it. Seeding in the Big Ten tournament. You're trying to get your seeding up in the NCAA tournament. You're trying to get a share of that Big Ten championship. So it's tough. You never want to, but I think that's good because you never want to go into it thinking that you're better than you are. So I think this team has a lot to fight for, and when this team has a lot to fight for, they fight well. We saw it in Penn State, but the other thing is that they've only had that one road ranked win. They've lost against Maryland. They've lost against Michigan State. So it'll be tough to see, but I think this team could do it. I think they can win out.
I think this is an opportunity. The position that they're in, I think, can be a shot of adrenaline for this team because – of course, they would say that, and we know how this team talks. We know how Io speaks to the media. We know how Andres Feliz speaks to the media. They would always say, if you were to ask them, oh, yeah, we always expected to be in this position and win the Big Ten. Yeah, no, you didn't. Don't lie. No. Especially like a month ago. You definitely did not. But I think this has a chance to be a shot of adrenaline for them. We're like, oh, we have a chance at this again. Like, we have another crack at this. We're getting a second chance. Let's go win these 2 games and let's make this happen. And I think kind of to Brendyn's point, we've seen them fight. And now they know that they have a little something more to fight for and really be like, Illinois is back. So I think this team they have to be feeling really good.
A lot of hype around Ohio State coming into the season, especially about the way they were playing early and how good Holtman is and the team as a general. The team as a whole, just a well-built team with guys like Wesson and Walker and just the Ohio State roster. It's not a player-dominant team. It's a complete team. Pretty much everybody came back from last season, and you knew that things were going to get better for the Buckeyes, who had kind of a down year last year. Going into this game, Ohio State's been really good at home. Their last 2 home games, a win against Maryland, 79-72, and then bitter rival Michigan State comes to town. They take care of business against them. Michigan, excuse me. They come to town. They take care of business with them. 14-point win against Michigan. And Michigan's playing really well right now, too, even though I think that it's bonkers that they're ranked. But that's just me. Illinois, before the season, we talked about their final record projections, which I'd like to bring up. Jake can't hit his. Jake, you had 23-8. I had 22-9.
Alas.
Brendyn had 21-10.
That's the one.
Alex had 20-11.
I'm telling you, that's the one.
So Alex,
I'm about to
you
hit
have their win total right now.
Didn't I go
Dang.
up too? Didn't I originally say 21 and I went up to 23?
Yeah, I think
I'm not
you're probably
sure.
confident.
I'm not sure.
So
think
Brendyn's
I'm
got the
hitting.
sweet spot.
I think I'm hidden.
I think Brendyn's
Brendyn's got-
Right, I think
I hope I
Brendyn-
don't hit. I hope
Right.
Nathan hits, but I think I'm hitting.
I hope I hit too.
Man, I really hope I don't hit. Jeez, I really hope I don't hit.
Looking forward, and we're doing something that Illinois is trying not to do. You know, in their post-game pressers, we're on to Ohio State. That's the mindset. That's all they're thinking about, which, the mind has to wander for these young student athletes about, holy cow, we're going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. We're a 20-win team.
These freshmen are so lucky.
I know, right? They're going to be playing.
Even Brendyn too.
yeah.
Brendyn's the
Yeah, I'm lucky too. Y'all
Right.
had to wait. This is my second year.
Okay, but right now the projections have them as an 8 seed. Feel like they should be higher. They also have, they've got the loss against Miami. It's a quad 3 loss.
Right.
Missouri, if they keep losing, that could also turn into a quad 3 loss. And I was reading earlier today about sort of the specifics and whatnot. And for those of you that don't know, the quad 1 is the top. I believe it's top 25. It's the top 30 teams if you play them at home. It's the top 50 teams if you play them at a neutral site, and it's the top 25 or the top 75 teams. No, top 75. Yeah, top 75 you play them on the road. So it rewards road games, obviously, which it should, especially in the Big Ten, which I feel like is where some weighted opinion needs to come in more so than just this, is it a quad 1, is it a quad 2 sort of thing. But they've got games against all quad 1 opponents coming up. I mean, you look at the fact that if they take care of business, even if they split in these games, I think they've guaranteed at least a 4 seed in the Big Ten. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that.
Oh, in the Big
Ten tournament.
So if they win, they have to win one of these games to secure the double bye.
Okay, and so right there. So you have these 2 games, which are obviously quad 1 games, and a chance to improve your tournament resume. You win one of them. Let's say you drop the one on the road against the Buckeyes, and then you come home and you take care of business against Iowa. Then you secure that double bye, which means that you're going to be playing other very valuable, probably tournament caliber teams when it comes Big Ten tournament time too. And obviously it's a neutral site, so it gives that more leeway for quad 1, because Illinois' got a losing record against quad 1 right now, but also they played a tough schedule in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I'm talking around my point, and my question that I'm trying to ask you guys is, where do you see this Illinois team finally seeding up when NCAA tournament comes around? It's tough because right now they're 8 and they've got some losses and they've got a losing record against the quad 1. And it's easy for us, as Illinois fans, as Illinois students to think, this team should be a 6 seed or whatever. I guess this is kind of a long-ended question because it not only brings up these next 2 games, but how they do in the Big Ten tournament. But I'll go ahead and start since maybe I've thought about this a little bit. And this is also kind of me hoping to speak it into existence. But a 6 seed is where I want Illinois to be. Because that means you don't have to play a 1 or a 2 seed in the second round of the NCAA tournament. It means you avoid that. You play a 3 seed at worst, or at best in that regard. I see it happening if they win out and they win 1 game in the Big Ten tournament. It's difficult though, because this Ohio State game, I mean, we're not even doing projections. I don't want to be wrong like we were against Penn State. Where we all took Penn State, and then Illinois gets their first road.
Did that
ranked
maybe
win.
help?
Maybe it did
maybe
help.
we should do it.
I don't know.
No, I think
8 seeds low right now, but also worthy. I don't know.
it is low, but it's also like, I guess, I don't know. It's tough because I feel like those 4 losses in a row from 3 weeks ago, like really, really hurt them. But they also, because of, I mean, these 2 next games, and they're only going to play good teams in the Big Ten tournament unless somebody starts to upset. But like, that can only help them. So yeah, if they do what they need to do these next 2 games, and they, I think that even if they win 2 games, like I think they should win 2 games, maybe be in the Big Ten championship. I mean, I think that would solidify that 6 seed.
I'm gonna simplify this question. If they win, because I've been asked this by friends and other people alike. If they win out and they win the Big Ten tournament, where is this team ranking seeding wise? Because people have their expectations, I think, too high.
Do they beat Maryland?
I don't know.
But that's
I
like
know
the
it
thing.
matters.
It's hard because
If they see Purdue instead of seeing whoever.
beats, if like Maryland trips up and they don't have to see Maryland or
But
Michigan State.
if you're winning the Big Ten tournament, you're beating one of Maryland or
Right.
Michigan State
But
or both.
if they
possibly
beat
even.
both, that's when it becomes super interesting. But
I think
that's
even if you beat one of them.
Well, yeah, but I think
We're
Just beating both solidifies it just
We are
all
getting
the more.
this. We're
I know,
making this
we're-
way
yeah,
more
yeah, we are
complicated.
It's a
Yeah.
complicated question, and this is sort of just me because
So
people are interested about it because people want to
Yeah.
know, and people know that we're probably dancing now. We're definitely dancing
Definitely,
now.
yes.
I don't even have to say probably. We're a 20-win team. Dang it. People, I think if Illinois wins out,
Right.
and I don't know who they play and whatever, and I know it matters, but they're the Big Ten champions. I still think they're probably a 4 seed. I don't think they can climb higher. though.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or in the NCAA.
In the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
I see a
probably.
4C, yeah.
It's just they can't climb higher than that because they also have 9 losses. Like it's and there's
Yeah.
so many good teams.
Because even I think if Maryland wins the Big Ten tournament, they're a 2 seed. Because you got to tell me who you knock off of the 1 seed when the rankings love Kansas and Baylor, and San Diego State and Gonzaga aren't going to lose their tournament championships.
Right.
And then and Dayton right now is a 2 seed, and they're the number 3 team in the nation.
Yeah.
So you got to understand. The people, I think in the Big Ten, people sort of close their blinders to how good other basketball programs are. Big East is phenomenal this year.
Okay. I have my answer.
And there's just other good conferences, and there's teams that dominate. And I know there's teams in lesser conferences that people say, oh, they play nobody, and the only ranked team Dayton's played they lost to, and it's like, yeah, but you also got to give credit to the fact that they don't lose. Jake, you have your answer.
I have my answer. Okay. You're getting the very tippy top ceiling is a 4 seed. I'm gonna just not. That's not happening. You're probably not winning both of these games and the entire tournament. It just seems unlikely. Could it happen? Yes.
Good reverse, James.
I'm not counting on it though. I think right now, you're sitting at. I think 8 is a little low. I think right now, season ends today. You're probably a 7, and I think the lowest you go is probably a 9. So the basement is 9. So I think you probably. I'm expecting split these next 2 games. Win a game or 2 in the Big Ten tournament, you're probably going in as a 6 or 7 as the most likely. I don't want a 5, first of all, because it would be so Illinois to do that, get upset by a 12. It would be so Illinois, and it would break my heart.
Would you rather have an 8 and then play,
Kansas,
Baylor,
right?
Virginia and then Kansas, that would be actually.
Right. Is that who you want to
Sure.
Is that what you want?
No, that's not what I want, but I could, because I can just feel it if there are 5. Like, just give me the 6 or 7.
Okay.
Perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. Well, the thing is, too, though, you put us in a bracket with San Diego State or Gonzaga, and you make it so that we hit them in the second part of the NCAA tournament.
I mean, there's no one you can be happy to see in the second round unless upsets happen, probably.
Sure.
But like,
I don't know. I'd love a shot at Gonzaga.
But also,
I love
that's
hating on
but also,
Gonzaga
like,
tournament time.
this team, you go like. We're Illinois fans. We're gonna be sweating every single game, no matter who Illinois is
game's gonna be. I think every game from now on is gonna come down to the last.
Right, you
4
could be
minutes.
playing
Like, it's gonna
Northwestern or Nebraska.
But Northwestern game made
Right,
you sweat a little bit.
the Nebraska game did too. So that's what I'm saying. Like either way, you go into the NCAA tournament, you're not like comfortable.
Yeah, that's completely fair. All right, we're gonna take our very first break. Yeah, that was a long-winded, just sort of Illinois sports overview. When we come back, I think the Bulls are back.
Oh my goodness.
Your tweet was
Stop.
out of pocket, bro.
I think the Bulls are back,
Stop.
and I'm gonna make my case
Stop.
when we come back from this commercial break. Welcome back to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1. Okay, I'm gonna get flack for this because I'm all
You're
the way
not going
back
to.
in.
You just did before we went to
right.
break.
I'm all the way
Been
back
getting
in.
flagged, dude.
I'm all the way back in on the Bulls. OPJ comes back, 18. After a 17-week absence, he drops 18. Kobe White is playing phenomenal. Obviously,
Just one rookie of the month.
just one rookie of the month. Shouldn't be coming off the bench. The head coach of the Chicago Bulls is a bona fide scrub, but that's something else. But I think this team is going to overcome his timeouts that are happening in the middle of wide open layups.
Wild.
It was wide open.
Yeah,
It was
and,
wide
and,
open.
Yeah, and yeah, he's bad and whatnot. But this team did it. They beat the Mavs without Levine. And I know that the Mavs didn't have Kristaps playing, but Bulls didn't have Laurie. Bulls have Jim Boylan as their head coach. And I think anytime that you overcome that, you deserve some praise. And I know that you guys don't agree, but you tell me this team can't make the playoffs when they're looking at 6 games out right now, and the teams in front of them are the Hornets and the Wizards.
Absolutely.
And the Magic are the 8 seed.
I'll
Is
absolutely tell you that.
it mathematically possible that this team can make the NBA playoffs as an A seed and get swept by the Bucks in the first round? Yes. Is it going to happen? No. They have 11 games left that are against playoff teams. They don't play well against bad teams. I mean, they have to catch six games with 23 games left is not like
right.
Look at this stretch. Look at the stretch that they have to go through in like a week-ish. It's starting on Saturday the 14th. They go at Miami, home against the Celtics, home against the Heat again, at the Spurs, at the Rockets, home against the Nuggets, home against the 76ers. That is an insane stretch where you will probably lose every game.
I heard like 4 wins in there.
You swear?
Dude,
The
it's
Sixers
just
stink on the road.
the Sixers are really bad on the road. So
Right, but
And
it's
who
the
knows how
Bulls,
bad Ben
man.
Simmons' back injury is?
Okay, but then you still have 6 games against 2 against the Heat
The Spurs are beatable.
at home.
Dude, but like,
it's just not-
this team like okay, yes, Otto Porter's finally back, and that was one of my biggest things was that he is a defensive guy that can like space the floor, shoot threes. I loved Otto Porter when we first got him.
His contract is what it is, but
It is what it is, but he's a
This is the last year of it, though, no?
he's got a player option for next year.
yeah.
And he's not declining $30 million when you're Otto Porter Jr.
And Lauri Markkanen is getting back, and like he struggled this year, but I still believe he can be a really good player in this league. So like, yeah, you have that, but I mean, there's no way that this team should be like, oh, we can make the playoffs. Like, there's nothing that they've shown in the past,
at all.
however long the season's been, that they're like, we can make the
Like,
playoffs.
here's my rebuttal to that, is that there's nothing they've shown in the past, but we haven't seen the Bulls team that we bought into at the beginning of this year. OBJ's been, Otto Porter Jr. has been hurt all year. Lauri's been on and off injury reports. Wendell Carter the same. And, you've been relying on the starting lineup of Satoransky and Gafford and, Chris Dunn, and Levine's been the consistent guy. Now he's currently out right now. The Bulls are playing well. Lauri is set to make his return tonight. Levine probably the game after that. I don't know, man. I'm excited to see the team that I actually thought originally could be an 8 seed.
Right. I'm excited to see that team, but this team has to play not like an 8 seed the rest of the season to make the playoffs. It has to play like a 3 seed. Like that's the competition that they have to bring to the table
They got to
every
play
night. They
out
have
of
to
their
play like
minds,
they're-
and it's not going to happen.
Right,
dude.
and it's not going to happen. And yes, I'm excited for them to play, and I think that this team can still build together and be something good next year. I think like this team is, built to be able to make the playoffs, but they're not going to make the playoffs this year.
I would rather they bottom out and go get a new coach and GM, because if they do this and they play well and they get back into this playoff race, and Otto Porter Jr. plays well and Lauri plays well and Zach LaVine keeps playing like an all-star, and then maybe you get Wendell Carter back at some point for like the last, I don't know, 10 games or whatever. Like, sure, but then they go into the offseason saying, oh, well, we're keeping the band together. This worked. Like, look what
Right.
happened when everyone was healthy.
I think though that there's enough moving around. I mean, like the Bulls are. I don't know how like press releases get out where it's like they're thinking about moving on from front offices without actually doing it. Because like I don't know how
agree.
that news
Yeah.
like breaks or like who's the
sources.
source is or anything like
yeah.
that. And so I'm not gonna fully say everything's gonna change and Garpax is gonna be gone and Boylan's gonna be gone or whatever. Well, apparently they're talking to Sam Presti and they're talking to guys about getting involved in the front office.
Are they going to get Sam Presti though?
No, and
Like-
that's the thing
Yeah.
is that that's just an example. That's just somebody that I know that they've been talking to and they've been linked to. And obviously, he's a phenomenal person to add to the front office. Maybe one of the better ones if you could pick it out of everyone. But I don't know, man. I think that there's still the idea that things need to move and things need to change, and the team as a whole. I mean, you look at ticket prices for Bulls games right now. Lowest tickets as low as 26, tickets as low as 16, tickets as low as 33, 27. Those are the next 4 games. And those are the bottom ticket prices, in the house that Jordan built in that phenomenal, in the United Center. You brought up
Wait, what is your point there? Why are you
my point is people aren't going to the games. Like there's been enough talk. There was while the All-Star game was in Chicago, there was the chance of fire Garpax like on live television and there's billboards up in Chicago. I mean, it is known that people are very sick of it, and I think that the owners and whoever are taking note of that, and I know that even if they go on to make the playoffs, then there's going to be this idea that we should keep Boylan around, because guess what? He's been an assistant coach for 3 NBA championships with the Spurs and the. Now, yeah, I know that like that's part of it, but I mean, I don't know, man. You also brought up this really tough stretch that they have starting on March 14th. The games before that are Minnesota, Indiana, Brooklyn, Cleveland, and the Magic. Those are 5 very winnable games.
Man, Nathan's like 10-year-old me, like so like naively optimistic about the Bulls. Like no matter what, I'm just like yes, like I don't care, they're gonna win. But like okay, like the Bulls always have a game that's just a fluke where they beat a team that they absolutely have no reason to beat, and that's just what happened with Dallas. But oh my God, dude, like just because Otto Porter's coming back, you're getting Levine back, you're getting Markkanen back, like that.
You just named 3 starters.
That doesn't do anything for me. Granted, I love those guys. I'm glad that they're coming
Do they
back.
start on playoff teams though?
I think
They could. If the
They start on the Bulls.
Otto Porter, depending on the team, Larry Markkanen probably not. But I think that your optimism is focused on the wrong thing. Like I think you should be optimistic that these guys are coming back, but not towards the end of the season, like towards next season.
It's too late, bro.
Yeah,
it's too late.
It's too late. And it's okay. Like we all feel the same way you do. We're just, you're being a little bit like, oh man, like
I want to be there, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm jealous of your optimism. Nate.
Right. I wish I could be like that, but it's not the case,
But
man.
no.
But no.
You guys are bumming me out.
It's
I
the
don't know,
truth, man.
And part of this, is sort of me pandering to Bulls fans, and you talked about my tweet being out of pocket, and a little bit was, me being like all that, like the Bulls are back in like a way, but I talked myself into it to the point that I'm like, look, like, okay, okay, fine. Let's say that the season's a lost cause. Okay. The Bulls are 21-40 right now.
Let's say that.
And let's say that it is. Moving forward with the Bulls, what would you like to see done? Obviously, they've got a little spending money this free agency, even though they're going to have some of that locked up with Otto Porter Jr. What are you looking for them to do so that next year on March 4th, when we say the Bulls are back, we mean it?
Basically, what it comes down to, I think, is a few things. One, definitely a new coach.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can talk about that forever, but new coach. They need to restructure the front office. I don't believe that they're going to start getting new guys anytime soon, but they need to restructure who are the decision makers, especially when it comes to contracts and free agencies. And then they need to bring in somebody that really is a specialist in player development. You can see there was no development between Larry Markkanen. And the worst thing that could possibly happen to Kobe White is he never develops into a good player because he has spurts. He shows spurts where if he plays that way consistently, he can be one of the best guards in the league, one of the best scoring guards in the league. You just need to have him develop. And that's the thing about this Bulls organization is that there's been cases yes, like Jimmy Butler, of course, Derrick Rose, like great developments, but they're on a grand scale, it doesn't happen. And if Larry Markkanen and Kobe White don't develop the way they should, along with Daniel Gafford and these other players, like it would be such a lost cause.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm with Brendyn completely on that.
Yeah.
Like
Otto,
not Otto. Laurie has not developed at all. Like his rookie year, you thought he'd be a guy where like all-star, could be awesome, like your cornerstone piece. Even Zach LaVine, ever since he got here, like he's improved his scoring game, but overall, like as a player, he hasn't really progressed as much as you would have wanted. So
I don't know, man.
And even
his
when
outside shot is new.
Even when that progression has come, though, you can tell it's like self-inflicted. Like at the beginning of the season, I know he had a bunch of game-winning opportunities that he would just force up, and then towards the middle of the season, you see he'd like pass in clutch situations, stuff like that. But that's not something that's like people developing him as much as that's him being a great basketball player and understanding where he needs to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like, I mean, like his outside shot, like he's always been able to heave it. Now it's more consistent, and also his handle's getting better and his ability to pull up off the dribble. But like that's all stuff that he's doing in the gym. I don't trust that Jim Boylan's being like, here's what you got to do. And Zach LaVine's like, all right, I got you. I'm gonna change that. You know what I mean?
It's also like when you have people openly laughing at Jim Boylan, like on like when you saw in the clip from last night when Boylan called the timeout during that open layup, like it shot to Luka and he was like trying not to laugh openly as he's running down to the other end of the floor.
Yeah.
Like you can't have that.
No, you can't. I don't know, man. I'm out on Laurie.
I think
also.
wait, how you gonna wait? No, time out. No, you did.
I'm talking going forward.
What?
We're talking
what
about
do you-
going
okay,
forward.
what do
you-
I'm talking
so
about
how-
going forward.
Nathan, what do you do with Larry Markkinen then? If
What are you
'cause
saying?
That was one of your pieces that you're like, oh, he's back. They're gonna
Listen
make
to
the
Yo, the
playoffs.
Bulls are back, but I'm not in on
You know
Laurie
what?
Markkinen. Like,
we can end the conversation because Nathan just completely took his own argument out behind the barn. It's
right.
dead.
All right.
No, you don't.
Well, you
Statement.
brought up the Laurie Markkinen thing about how he could be where he is, and I don't think the Bulls are developing him. And then I think going forward, the structure of this team, Laurie isn't going to fit it. I'm talking about going forward for this season. I am excited about Laurie Markkinen coming back because he has a jumper and
I know
because
what
he
you're
has
saying, yes.
like pieces around it. I'm talking about going forward. My question to you guys was, what do you want to see the Bulls do going forward? And that's where I'm saying that I am cool with a Laurie Markkinen trade if it means moving up in the draft, if it means, just finding a place to move cap room around so that you can sign somebody big, so that you can overspend on somebody to bring names into Chicago and actually have players there. That's what I'm talking about when I say I'm out on Laurie Markkinen, because I don't believe that the Bulls will develop him to the same point that Brendyn talked about player development and how it has failed Laurie Markkinen, because you saw what he could be his rookie year and he hit the most threes that any rookie had in a season ever. And then he bottoms out, and you see what he has been this season. I am still excited about him back because I think they took their time bringing him back, because I think this team didn't think they were going to make the playoffs and thought, why not give him as much time as possible to recover from that? So I'm talking about going forward because I am looking towards next season now. You guys have buried my hopes that this team can make the playoffs this season. You're making me go forward thinking, and that's what I'm talking about, where I'm out on Laurie in the long term. Okay?
Nathan's
Yeah, I'm with
face
you.
is
I'm
the
with you.
exact same color as that post-it right now. Your face is anger red.
I'm with you.
Because I just had my entire team scream at me about how much I contradicted myself and how bad of a take I had. I'm a Bulls fan, and I want the Bulls to make the playoffs. And I was excited about them beating a Luka Doncic-led Mavs team, and how Otto Porter Jr. came back, and Kobe White has led the team in scoring in 3 of their last 5 games, most of those being 30-point performances.
Bro, breathe.
We're going to break. I'm done with this conversation. You guys have angered me to the point of off-rail ranting. When we come back, I don't even know. We're going to break. I'm going to cool down. And what we're talking about in the C block is going to be a surprise to all. Stick with us.
No, I'm not taking my suggestion. Oh.
That was a great on-air etiquette right there by the former on-air editor of the Daily Illini, Jake Hasan. Welcome back to Illini Drive WPGU 107.1.
Former on-air editor, too.
I am. All right. I'm going to let you guys do this, actually. You guys are hosting the C block. I will respond. You guys are now in my shoes. I was going to talk coronavirus, but now you want to talk Batmobile.
I suggested it.
Go for it. It seemed like Alex had things to say about the Batmobile.
I thought the coronavirus one was going to be actually pretty good.
yeah, I was getting ready for that one, and then he said,
All right.
I was just
coronavirus
I was
is
reacting
bad,
to the
and a bunch of
Batmobile.
sports teams are
Nathan,
banning
please, we're
fans.
sorry. Nathan, we're sorry.
All right.
You're a good host.
All right.
We love
You had a good comeback in the rant. That's what I liked about it. It was a good comeback.
I was actually kind of in fear for my life at one point
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I was kind of scared.
Game, respect, game.
I covered my face. I was just
I
like,
thought he was
no.
about to flip this table, honestly.
You threw your hat at me.
Yeah.
You disliked my face so much. You threw your hat at me.
I did. I did.
All right. We'll do Corona.
But that's because I'm a rascal.
A rascal.
And we
Okay.
lost all of our toys to play with on the table.
That's
We
true.
used to have the dinosaur and the car and everything.
That's right.
Tommy loved that dinosaur.
He did. I think he broke that dinosaur. It was ripped in half. Whatever. I thought my eating food to open the show was an ode to Tommy Poulsen today.
Definitely.
But for him, it used to be chips, and I'd be wearing headphones so I'd hear it, and you would just occasionally just hear crunch, crunch.
Because Tommy was a dummy and he would try to talk at the end of right before he swallowed too. So he would always be proposing a thought as he still had food in his mouth. It was ridiculous. He used to do yogurt too. I think it was before you were on the show. He'd bring whole things of yogurt, spoon and everything. And he'd walk out of the studio with just the spoon in his mouth.
What a legend.
What a bozo.
Oh man. Okay, we'll do the coronavirus thing. Before we get to coronavirus and how it's affecting sports worldwide, I'd like to take this moment to calmly remind you that Illini Drive is brought to you by the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. Head on over to fightingillini.com. Check out all the good content that they have. I'm told that you don't need to buy tickets to baseball games, so you don't need to go to fightingillini.com for that. But you can head there, and there's a lot of good stuff there. Make sure to check out. How about tickets for the next year's football season?
Yeah, season tickets are.
Yep, season tickets for Illini football. Went to the Red Box Bowl last year. Who's to say that they might not get even better next year? I don't know.
Who's to say?
Who knows? But yeah, head on over to fightingillini.com, and we are very appreciative of the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics for sponsoring the show. Unify, develop, inspire, and achieve.
Is that how I sounded last show?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say Nathan's using his calm voice for the ad read after the bomb that went off in the last segment.
If anyone's still listening, I think I needed to calm things down and just bring it on down.
You think people turn off this show?
I think that the content today has been worth a listen. So
That's fair.
we're doing the coronavirus thing. It's getting scary. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Olympics are in Japan this coming summer. China is where the coronavirus originally, stemmed from, and now we're seeing cases in the United States that are not from people that have traveled to, China or people that aren't even traveling. It's starting to get to a point where people are raising their eyebrows about how serious this actually is. And I saw today that all sporting events in Italy will take place without fans present for the next month due to the coronavirus outbreak there. There's been cases in Germany. It's really starting to hit Europe. On top of the fact of United States are seeing things now. Jake, I think you were the one that said that baseball players are signing the baseballs in the clubhouse now.
No, Alex said that.
That was me. Yeah.
So instead of interacting with the fans on the baselines, they're doing that to avoid the contact.
Well, the NBA is doing they're not doing a handshake line anymore now too.
I didn't see
they're
that.
doing fist bumps, I think now, and they're doing that with the fans too.
I'm kind of behind on the whole coronavirus and how far reaching it is, because I'm weird on this coronavirus thing, because in one of our classes we talked about how Ebola didn't get near this coverage, and it's sort of like a media thing. And I think that also stems from the fact that it comes from China, the most populated country on earth, that that gets talked about a little bit more when Ebola was born and bred in Africa and then moves its way from there. But coronavirus also, the infection rate is a lot higher, even though the mortality rate's a lot lower. How freaked out are you guys about coronavirus? Because it's starting I feel like to get to the point where you need to have a stance and be okay, what am I doing to make sure I'm not getting sick?
It's definitely worrisome, because I feel like anytime something like this comes up, you have to be conscientious. But I read something where it's the mortality rate is not 2%, but the flu mortality rate is 1%. This is something that you have to battle the same way you battle and obviously I'm not a doctor, so but I feel you
Dr. Brendyn Jones.
We should also be worried about the things that are already here, like the flu, other things like that, sicknesses that we can
okay, dude,
kind of come
in your hair.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, appreciate it.
It
No, for real, thanks. But we can for instance, they want us to wash our hands, which you should be doing anyway. Hand sanitizer, all that stuff. As long as we're being smart about it and preventative about it, I'm not as worried about it. You know what I mean?
It's crazy because it's jumping from the normal flu is 0.1% death rate, and this is 2%, which is in those terms is an enormous number. So and plus Ebola and stuff like that, you never saw it affect sports.
True.
It takes a lot for global news like that and the sports world to collide in that way.
Do you think that's in Italy? I think it's necessary because they're having some of the worst outbreaks.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., do you think that's as necessary as it is in places where, because it's the U.S. obviously has had cases, but it's not like Italy it's insane right now. But they're canceling schools,
study abroad
stuff
programs.
Everybody,
they're home.
People are saying hey, just come back. It's
which I feel so bad for those people because they can't most of them I assume sublease their apartments.
Yeah,
and then now they have to go home. Like my sister's friend goes to UW-Madison and was in Italy.
Yeah.
So they said, first plane back, see you later. And now she's sitting at home with her mom and like doing her classes online.
And I know some of them, like their classes started like a few weeks ago, or the semesters or whatever, the class schedules are different there, and so some of them are not getting credit for classes when like that changes. I mean, as somebody that has to stay an extra semester, not for the reason that like this, but like I know how frustrating it can be to all of a sudden have to like map out a schedule and be like, wait a second, like it's going to take me how many hours to graduate in time? Like especially these kids who aren't planning on that at all, and all of a sudden it shakes things up like that. Yeah, I think that. I mean, Brendyn, you posed the question of like, does it need to be done in the United States? I think that this country, seeing how bad it has gotten and seeing cases like Italy, is just trying to get ahead of it. And does it need to be done right now? Probably not. But it just takes one referee, it takes one fan, it takes somebody that doesn't know that they're carrying it to all of a sudden drop it. And with travel schedules of sports, just send it everywhere. Yeah. So
you've seen in the NBA Africa League was supposed to, which is like something that they're trying to develop, because you have players like Pascal Siakam and Joel Embiid, all these great talents from the continent of Africa. So they're having a 12-man league or a 12-team league that was supposed to start on March 13th in Senegal, but that's being pushed back to a later date, probably, if I had to guess, whenever it's the kind of outbreak kind of clears up a little bit. But I mean, it's just tough to see, because these are also people's livelihoods, and like this is also, I mean, sports in America is such a big thing. So
they even pushed back the James Bond like release.
I know, to November. That was a little
weird.
yeah.
So
that's
from April to November.
A lot has
that's
come up with like with the Disney live action Mulan is coming out.
Yeah,
and Mulan obviously is huge in China, and they're worried about how it's not going to do that well at the box office, because they don't have the support of the Chinese people when they don't want to go to movie theaters for fear of coronavirus.
That's crazy.
And so that's why James Bond got pushed back. This is the fourth time No Time to Die has gotten pushed back, which is bothersome.
This is the fourth time?
They keep moving this release date back. And this one, has a direct correlation, and it's not anything to do with editing the movie or whatever. And that's why this one's kind of annoying, because it's like, okay, like you're just doing this to make sure you don't, do poorly at the box office. And I get it's a livelihood, it's a business and whatever, but when after what you've already done for like to fans to make them wait even longer, but I don't know, man. It's starting to get to the point that it raises eyebrows, and like I said, you have to start like thinking in your head, like, okay, like what am I doing to make sure that I don't get sick?
Wild.
It is wild. What's this Batmobile thing? I'm curious. I don't even know what you're talking about.
They released
they released images
of the new Batmobile. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not sure if I like it.
Ooh.
Like
I'm very unsure.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I like the car itself. But for Batman, like, I'm not sure.
I like this car.
But that's the thing. I like the car, but for Batman, I'm just looking at it and I'm just like,
But I will say, like, wasn't, it's Matt, like, didn't Matt Reeves say, like, he's making it more of, like, like, Batman as, like, the investigator? Like,
yeah,
not like
yeah.
Batman,
it's supposed to be
that,
so
right.
it kind of fits that,
right,
like, mold then. I kind of get it, because it's more, like, low-key. It's not, like, this big tank.
Right.
So
like Batman isn't like the celebrity. He's just more of like this sort of like mythical thing in Gotham where everyone's like, yo, who's this Batman? Like, is this guy even a thing?
They wanted to make this one like less based on his like money and like gadgets and stuff, and him just being a like noir type
like solving crimes.
Yeah, this is weird. I mean, like, it's not bad. It's cool, but it's like,
I think it's sweet.
I don't know. I'm gonna show the camera.
I think it's pretty sweet.
Right.
Well,
I don't know. I think I have to like see it in action, and then that's where I'll be like, okay, like
it looks more like the Batmobile from the comics. From
that's fair.
Some of the things that I'm seeing, and you're not going to have that car, because like that car is kind of like a ridiculous design, but it's more thinner and sleek, and yeah, it's not going to roll over itself like the one in Christopher Nolan.
Right.
It's
still cool.
Yeah, no,
right.
Not taking anything.
You're so used to just like this cool like tank that drives 300 miles an hour with a bunch of gadgets and stuff, like.
Yeah, I'm so here for like the Batman that's more like low key and like kind of like, because it also seems like, and like from the coloring of the shots and stuff that's been released, it seems more like
more grounded.
Past, but I'm gonna finish because Nathan wants to wrap up.
Well, our show ends at 7, and it's 6:59, and I want to make sure that I tell everyone thank you for listening to this interesting episode of Illini Drive.
Very interesting.
Make sure to tune in to the Tuesday Thursday crew, as they will probably be getting more in depth on Illinois' upcoming games against Ohio State and Iowa. And hey,
screaming at you.
next time that we're here doing Illini Drive, Illinois will be done with the regular season. We will know their ranking and their seeding in the Big Ten tournament, and it'll be postseason basketball up next for the Illini basketball team, which is very exciting. So thank you guys so much for listening today. On behalf of Alex, Brendyn, Jake, and myself, I think this was a really fun time, and I hope you guys had fun too. But thank you for listening. Alex, hit the music.